नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रव्यसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि जन्मानि तव चार्जुन तान्यहं वेद सर्वाणि न त्वं वेत्त परन्तप। अजोऽपि सन् अव्ययात्मा भूतानाम् ईश्वरोऽपि सन् प्रकृतिं स्वामधिष्ठाय सम्भवामि आत्ममायया। यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्। परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्मसंस्थापनार्थाय सम्भवामि युगे युगे। जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन। जन्म कर्म च मे दिव्यम् एवं यो वेत्ति तत्त्वतः त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैति मामेति सोऽर्जुन। Krishna categorically declares in the Gita, Avatara Rahasya Jnana leads to moksha. So therefore, avatars and understanding the rahasya of the avatars of Bhagavan become a prerequisite. Our Shastras celebrate all the avatars of Bhagavan. And Bhagavatam in particular is woven around all his avatars. After all, avatars are the very core of the Bhagavata Purana. Therefore, when Shaunaka and all the sages of Naimisharanya ardently request Suta in Adhyaya 3 of the Prathama Skanda, Suta begins with a summary of all the avatars. Every avatara of Bhagavan, all the Mukhya avatars are going to be celebrated across the Bhagavata Purana. But right up front, we get to have a quick summary. Suta gives a quick summary of all the avatars. Avatara is unfortunately translated into English as incarnation. A very misleading translation. Because the English word incarnation means coming in flesh and blood, which obviously is not applicable to Bhagavan's avatars. Bhagavan manifests in various forms, and his forms are transcendental in nature. He takes avatars based on his sankalpa. The forms that he takes are based on his sankalpa and not based on karma. Even during his avatars, he is not subject to the forces of Prakriti. He is beyond the forces of Prakriti. And therefore, translating avatara as incarnation would be doing injustice to the very term incarnation. Incarnation is not applicable to the various manifestations that Bhagavan takes. Therefore, avatara is a divine descent. Avatara is a divine descent. Bhagavan's descent is for the sake of our ascent. He takes births based on his sankalpa so that we can stop taking births. Avatars, unfortunately, while they are very popular, are least understood. Why do I say this? They are no doubt very popular, but they are shrouded in mystery, misunderstanding, misrepresentation, misinterpretation. It is very important for us not to fall in the trap of the scientific approach to avatars. Unfortunately, there are different kinds of groups who try to approach avatars, trying to force fit them into some kind of a scientific framework. On the one hand, there are those who, trying to prove our Puranas scientifically, try to force fit Bhagavan's avatars in a Darwinian model. And there are those who, out of malicious intent, try to compare our avatars to the Darwinian model and to pass on a message that avatars, after all, are mythological accounts, just to give examples of evolution. Only when we study the avatars, only when we study with Shraddha and understand what the Shastras teach, it becomes very clear, crystal clear, that all these camps are unfortunately wrong. Avatars are a historical account of Bhagavan. Now also, we need to understand two more important things when it comes to avatars. Avatars popularly are grouped into 10, and they are popularly referred to as Dashavatas. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, Vamana, and so on. But it is very important to understand that this is just a grouping for the sake of easily relating to the avatars and remembering them. This sequence of Dashavataras by no means represents any chronological order. Let me give just a simple example to understand this. Matsyavatara, when it happened, the purpose of Matsyavatara is to protect King Satyavrata. And at that time, all kinds of living species were already existing, including human species. So where is the question of Matsyavatara being the first avatara in order for us to force fit it into the scheme of a Darwinian model and saying life form started as in the form of a fish. So therefore, Matsya is definitely not the first avatara in terms of chronology. When we look at the Dashavatara, the model of Dashavatara, there is one way we can understand why they have been sequenced and grouped and popularly called the Dashavataras. If we look at the first set of avatars in the Dashavatara, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha, all these avatars are direct manifestations. Swayam Vyaktha. Bhagavan, out of his sankalpa, directly manifests, takes these glorious forms and carries out the mission of the avatara. And then the next set of avatar Vamanas, Parashurama, Rama, Balarama, Krishna and so on. These are avatars where Bhagavan through his sankalpa takes birth. He takes birth as the son of Aditi and Kashyapa, Vamanavatara, son of Jamadagni and Renuka, Parashurama Avatara, son of Dasharatha and Kausalya, Sri Rama Avatara, Devaki and Vasudeva, Krishna Avatara, and so on. So therefore, one possibility for this kind of a grouping, when we look at Dashavataras, is the first set of avatars are direct manifestations. The next set of avatars are not direct manifestations. These avatars are where he takes birth. So, these avatars by no means represent a chronology. The second thing to understand, avatars happened during several yugas, during several manvantaras, during several kalpas. Our Shastras capture various slices of time, because time is not linear. Time is cyclic. Time is cyclic between Srishti and Pralaya. It goes on in cycles. And if we look at time, our Shastras divide time into various units. And avatars happen over a period of time across yugas, across manvantaras, across kalpas. Therefore, there is no way that we can actually put a chronology of these. Yes, we can if we take a specific kalpa, the current kalpa, Shvetavaraha kalpa. We can look at how the avatars happened through this kalpa. But again, our Shastras do not capture all the avatars as they happened throughout the kalpa. A kalpa is one day of Brahma. One kalpa has 14 manvantaras, 1000 chaturyugas. Now, we do not have an account of all the avatars that happened throughout this kalpa. There are only few avatars which are captured in our Puranas, and it is these avatars that we celebrate and relish. So therefore, we also need to understand that avatars also get repeated many a times. So there is a possibility that there could be different accounts of the same avatara depending on which manvantara it happened and which kalpa it happened as well. For example, Varaha Avatara, as we know, there are two Varaha Avataras captured in Bhagavata itself. One at the very beginning of the kalpa, Swayambhuva Manvantara of Shvetavaraha kalpa. The very reason why the current kalpa is called Shweta Varaha kalpa is to celebrate the Varaha Avatara, which is the first avatara of this kalpa. Varaha Avatara also happened in Chakshusha Manvantara of the Shweta Varaha kalpa. When we look at the 14 Manvantaras, we are in the 7th Manvantara of the current kalpa, which is Shweta Varaha kalpa. Swayambhuva Manvantara, Swarochchisha Manvantara, Uttama Manvantara, Tamasa Manvantara, Raivata Manvantara, Chakshusha Manvantara, Vaivashvata Manvantara. The 7th Manvantara is Vaivashvata Manvantara. And in the Vaivashvata Manvantara, we are in the 28th Chaturyuga. Now, we need to look at all the Manvantaras that have already elapsed and And we can see that several avatars have happened over the last 6 manvantras, including the current one, which is the 7th. And our Puranas capture only some of them. That is why Krishna says, Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. It's not 1, 2, 5, 6 or 10 or 20 or 30. Several avatars Bhagavan takes. Only some of them get recorded as history. So in the 3rd Adhyaya of Prathama Skanda, we are going to relish the avatars as they happened in Shvetavaraha Kalpa. Now, right at the beginning of the current Brahma's life, 2 important avatars happened. After which, starting from the Shvetavaraha Kalpa, several avatars happened over the 6 manvantras and the 7th one. Now, Bhagavata presents many of the significant avatars across these various manvantras. Now, we also need to understand, when we talk of Bhagavan's avatars, there are different kinds of avatars. Mukhya avatars, Purna avatars. Krishna avatara, Rama avatara, Nrsimha avatara, they are all Purna avatars. There are Amsha avatars, partial manifestation of Bhagavan's powers. Several avatars are Amsha avatars. There are also Shakti Avesha avatars, where a specific Jivatma is chosen and special powers are endowed and are bestowed to that specific chosen Jivatma, and that Jivatma is celebrated as an avatar. So these are Avesha avatars. Therefore, there are several kinds of avatars. Only few avatars are Purna avatars, where Bhagavan descends with all his gunas manifested. And that is why some of these avatars are very special. The avatars of Krishna, the avatara Rama and Nrsimha are very, very special because they are Purna avatars. So Suta begins his exposition going right to the beginning. And he starts with the Prathama avatara of this very kalpa. Saeva pratamam devaihi kaumaram sargamashitaha chachara duscharam brahma brahmacharya makhamanditam. The very first avatara, the avatara of the Sanat Kumaras. Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara. The 4 sons of Brahma. Now we have to also understand that every avatara has a very specific mission, a very specific purpose. Now, in this account, as Suta is going to take us through a summary, we'll also quickly look at summary of these avatars and at a high level, look at the mission of each avatars. Each of these avatars are going to be dealt with in detail as we deep dive into Bhagavatam. So, Prathama Avatara, the very first avatara of Sanat Kumaras. It is possibly for the first time when Bhagavan decided, to demonstrate Brahmacharya Vrata. Sanat Kumaras decided to adopt Brahmacharya Vrata. No, the very first ashrama is Brahmacharya ashrama. So Bhagavan possibly decided that he needs to demonstrate the Brahmacharya Vrata, and therefore he took the avatara of Sanat Kumaras. Immediately after taking birth as the sons of Brahma, the Sanat Kumaras decided to dedicate their entire time on contemplating on Bhagavan and nothing else. Chachara Duscharam Brahma Brahmacharya Makhamanditham. Duscharam, the what is not easily possible, constant meditation, constant contemplation of Bhagavan and nothing else. To such an extent that when Brahma requested them for help asked them to engage in the performing karma of creation, they outright refused. So therefore it is not today that we have sons refusing to help their fathers. It happened thousands and thousands and thousands of years back. Right at the beginning it happened, but it happened for a good cause. So the very first Prathama Avatara is the Avatara of Sanat Kumaras, demonstrating how to perform Brahmacharya. Dvitiyam tu bhavayasya rasatala gatam mahim uddharishyan upadatta yajneshaha saukaram vapuhu. The second Avatara. It is the Avatara at the right at the beginning of Shweta Varaha Kalpa. This Kalpa gets its name because of this Avatara. Shweta Varaha. Shweta is white. Varaha, the form of a Varaha, of a boar. Bhagavan's Avatara, the boar that bore the earth, Mother Earth. The boar, B-O-A-R, that bore, B-O-R-E. Varaha Avatara is very, very special. Right at the beginning of this Kalpa, Bhagavan decided to take the Avatara as Varaha. Dvitiyam tu, the second Avatara. Bhavayasya. Bhavaya Asya. For the welfare of Mother Earth. The Avatara, the purpose of this Avatara is to take care of the welfare of Mother Earth. Rasatala gatam mahim uddharishyan upadatta yajneshaha saukaram vapuhu. Saukara, vapu, the body of a Varaha, of a boar. When earth was inundated by cosmic waters at the end of the previous Kalpa, it was necessary to make earth inhabitable. So the earth had to be retrieved from the deluge of cosmic waters. Retrieving the earth from the deluge of cosmic waters and essentially setting the order, which means setting the earth in its proper position in sun's orbit. And only then earth can become inhabitable. Look at the wonder of wonders. As we all know, the earth has a tilted axis. The earth is tilted. It has an axis, a tilt of 23.5 degrees. That's what science today says. Even a 1 degree extra tilt this way or that way, there can be no life forms on earth. The earth, in order to be habitable, in order for the life forms to develop, for the flora and fauna, the 4 seasons that take place on earth, is because of this tilt of earth's axis. That is why Varaha is called Yajneshaha, the one who creates abundance. So therefore, resurrecting earth is to setting the order so that the earth in its right place in sun's orbit with the right tilt in its axis, so that it can become the right place for life forms to take place. So right at the beginning of the Kalpa, Bhagavan ensured that earth becomes the right place for all living beings. So therefore, this is a very important avatara. It is after this that all life forms start to happen on Mother Earth. So, Dvitiyam tu bhavayasya rasatala gatam mahim uddharishyan upadatta yajneshaha saukam. That is why Varaha is celebrated as Yajna Varaha. Yajna, why? He created abundance on earth. So therefore, this is the second avatara. Tritiyam rishi sargam vai devarshitvam upetyasaha tantram shatvatam achashta naishkarmyam karmanam yataha. The third avatara is the avatara of Devarshi Narada. No, unfortunately, Narada is someone who is also completely misunderstood and misrepresented. All the TV serials use him as a comedian, unfortunately. And I don't know who coined this phrase, Naradaha Kalaha Priyaha. I don't know whoever did this greatest disservice that can be done to an Avatara Purusha. Mahajnani, Mahabhakta, a very important Avatara, Narada. He is a Deva Rishi amongst all the Devas. Narada is the only one who lives throughout the lifespan of Brahma along with the Sanat Kumaras. Not even Devatas. All the Devatas' lifespan is only for a Manvantara. Narada's lifespan cuts across all the Manvantaras. So therefore, Narada is somebody who is very special. Tritiyam Rishisargam Vai Devarshitvam Upetyasaha. Tantram Satvatam Achashtha. No, now we need to hear Upetya. He accepts, Bhagavan accepts the role of Narada. Why? To inspire. Inspire everyone with what? Naishkarmyam karmanaha. How to perform karma which can be transformed into a karma. Tantram Satvatam Achashtha. It is Narada who culls out gems from all the Vedas. All the gems which are devotional in nature, puts them together and passes them on to all the rishis. Narada's duty is to pass on this treasury of devotional literature across kalpas, across manvantaras. Jnana to be given in order for karma to be performed in a way that karma can be transmuted into kainkarya. That is why here it says, Naishkarmyam karmanam yataha. The mission of the avatar of Narada is to provide this jnana, the jnana that is required for to achieve Naishkarmyam. The estate, a workless state, Naishkarmyam, performing actions, but the actions are transmuted as inactions. Actions are transmuted. Karma is transmuted into kainkarya. That is what the mission of the Narada Avatara. And then Bhagavan decides that he also needs to ensure that knowledge gets passed on from one generation to the next in a smooth manner. How can all the wealth of knowledge available in the form of the Vedas that he has bestowed to Brahma, how they can be passed on generation after generation? It is only possible through a Guru Sishya Parampara. So therefore, Bhagavan decides that he needs to demonstrate the ideal characteristics of a Guru, and at the same time, he also needs to demonstrate an ideal characteristic of a Sishya. Therefore, he decides to take the glorious avatara of Nara and Narayana, the ideal Sishya and the ideal Guru. Turye dharmakala sarge nara narayana rishihi bhutvatma upasamopetam akarot duscharam tapaha. It is during this avatara, this glorious avatara of Nara Narayana, which happens in Badrikashrama. The Rahasya mantra was given by the Guru to the Sishya for the first time. And that is how Bhagavan demonstrates how a Guru Parampara has to be maintained in order for knowledge to be passed on. Today we may wonder how over the thousands of years our Shastras have been protected. The Vedas, the Vedanta, all the Upanishads, the itihasas, the Puranas, the Smritis, thousands and thousands and thousands of verses. How did they get transmitted? One generation after another generation, without ever being recorded in writing for thousands of years. Only possibly 1,500 years back, or even maybe 2,000 years, the first time it started getting recorded in one form or the other. Printing, of course, started very late. It is because of the glorious Guru Parampara system that we have in Sanatana Dharma. And Bhagavan ensures that a Guru Parampara system stays intact by demonstrating how a Guru and Sishya should conduct oneself. So therefore, the fourth avatara is the avatara of Nara and Narayana. Also in this avatara, he also demonstrated how to do tapasya. And through performing various austerities, how to control one's senses. It is very, very important in any learning, in any form of learning. Unless senses are brought under control, the knowledge that is transferred cannot be assimilated and digested. It's like food can be consumed, but only when it is assimilated and digested, it can actually help the body. So similarly, it's not about just receiving knowledge, it is about assimilation of knowledge. And for this assimilation process, sense control and eventually mind control becomes very important. And that is why Bhutva Atma Upasamopetam Akaro Duscharam Tapaha. Again, Bhagavan himself demonstrates. So we see here that avatars, the leelas that he performs, every leela, every avatara, there is a very specific mission that he achieves, that he fulfills. And then the fifth avatara, the glorious avatara, where Bhagavan becomes an instructor to his very own mother. Panchamaha Kapilo Nama Siddeshaha Kala Viplutham Pravacha Suraya Sankyam Tattvagrama Vinirnayam. Glorious Kapila Avatara. Avatara for Tattvajnana Bodhana. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti Yogena se Yoginaha Kshemaya Padamulam me Pravishyanti Akuto Bhayam, Kapila says. Kapilopadesha is a glorious episode in Srimad Bhagavatam. A very special avatara where, as son of Devahuti and Kardama Prajapati, Bhagavan instructs his very own mother. And Siddheshaha Kala Viplutam, it seems by that time the treasury of Jnana was lost. Devahuti was worried after Kardama Prajapati goes away as to how to face adversities of life. And therefore, Kapila gives her a glorious instruction on Sankhya, Atmajnana, Sankhya, metaphysics, enumeration of tattvas, Bhagavat Tattva, Chit Tattva, Achit Tattva, and again, Achit Tattva once again broken down into sub-tattvas, multiple tattvas, 24 tattvas of Prakriti. This Kapila should not be understood as the other Kapila. There is also Sankhya Mata. There is a Sankhya Siddhanta, which is Nirishwara Sampradaya, where Ishvara is not accepted in the Sankhya. It is later on. It is a recent Sampradaya. Recent when I say few thousand years back. But this avatara is Bhagavan's avatara, Kapila avatara, where this Sankhya Mata of Kapila has Ishvara at the very base. It recognizes Ishvara Tattva apart from Chit Tattva and Achit Tattva. Kapilopadesha is a glorious instruction on Jnana, Tattva Jnana that happens. That is the fifth avatara that Bhagavan takes. The sixth avatara is a very interesting avatara. Shashtam Atrer Apatyatvam Vrataha Prapto Anasuyaya Anvikshikim Alarkaya Prahlada Adibhibhya Uchivan. This is the avatara as the son of Atri, sage Atri and Anasuya. This is the avatara called the Dattatreya avatara. Datta avatara. The mission of this avatara is to teach the path of yoga and dhyana. This is an avatara where Bhagavan becomes a teacher to many. That is why it said here, Anvikshikim alarkaya prahlada adibhya uchivan. Alarkaya, prahlada, and etc. other people. Where Bhagavan, throughout various ages, cutting across several yugas, as Dattatreya, imparts jnana on yoga and dhyana. Some of his prominent students are Alarka, Prahlada, Yadu. Towards the end of Bhagavatam, Krishna refers to Yadu Dattatreya Samvada. And what is popularly known as Uddhava Gita, Krishna refers to the conversation between the Avadhuta, which is none other than Dattatreya, and Yadu. And he refers to it in his conversation with Uddhava. So, taking this avatara, Bhagavan as a teacher has several illustrious disciples. And the mission, the purpose of this avatara is to teach the path of yoga and dhyana. The seventh avatara is an avatara taken for the purpose of demonstrating cosmic administration. How to carry out administrative tasks. Tatas saptama akutyam rucher yajno abhyajayata sa yamadhyai suraganaihi apat swayambhu mantaram. Every manvantara, in every manvantara there is an Indra. The position, Indra is a position. Indra is not a single person. Indra is a position. Every devata, these are positions occupied by several exalted atmas. So in the Swayambhuva Manvantara, Bhagavan decided to take the avatara and take the position of Indra. Take the avatara of Yajna. The name of this avatara is Yajna. Akutyam Rucher Yajnyoho. Taking birth as a son of Prajapati Ruchi and his wife Akuti. He took birth as Yajna and he took the role of Indra, the position of Indra. He also wanted to show right at the beginning of Swayambhuva Manvantara, he wanted to show how should an ideal Indra be, because after all, Indra has a very important role to play. Indra is the CEO of the three lokas. So therefore, this role there has to be a proper role description given. So that in future, the future Indras will have a reference to emulate. And therefore, Bhagavan, in this avatara, he demonstrates how to run the three lokas as Indra. And therefore, this is the avatara of Yajna. Avatar of Yajna who assumes the position of Indra in the Swayambhuva Manvantara. The eighth avatara, Ashtame Merudevavyam tu nabhe jata urukramaha tarshayan vartma dhiranam sarvashrama namaskritam. Nabhe jata urukramaha Merudevyam tu nabhe. Nabhi Merudevi. King Nabhi and Meru Devi are the parents. He took birth as the son of King Nabhi and Meru Devi and as Rishabha Deva. The eighth avatara is avatara of Rishabha. It's a very interesting avatara where here it says Darshanam Vatma Dhiranam Sarvashrama Namaskritam. Everyone belonging to all ashramas, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, all the people belonging to all the four ashramas worship this Rishabhadeva for one reason. The mission of this avatara is to show how to lead a life of a yogi. To show that it is important irrespective of the ashrama. Sometimes it is misunderstood that only when one is a sannyasi, one leads the life of a yogi or a brahmachari. Otherwise one can be a bhogi. Bhagavan clearly demonstrates that there is no room for a bhogi. If one leads the life of a bhogi, one will only become a rogi. Therefore, Rishabhadeva teaches a yogic way of life and living where he shows how to lead a life by staying completely detached from the body, completely knowing all the time that I is different from mine. So therefore, being a yogi, the mission of the Rishabhavatara is to demonstrate how to lead that life, be it brahmacharya ashrama, be it grihastha be it vanaprastha or be it sanyashrama, one needs to lead a life of a yogi. That is the 8th avatara of Rishabhavatara. After abundance of jnana, through all the avatars that we have been seeing, Bhagavan has been giving abundance of jnana through these various avatars. Now it is time for him to give abundance, material abundance. So therefore, the 9th avatara is about bestowing material abundance. Rishibhir yachito bheje navavam parthivam vapuhu dugdhevam oshadhir vipraha tenayam sa ushattamaha. The 9th avatara is the glorious avatara of Prithu. Sometimes we wonder why Mother Earth is called Prithvi. Mother Earth is called Prithvi because it was ruled by Prithu. Prithu was the first ruler of Mother Earth who also introduced agriculture and cultivation for the first time. Scientific methods, if I were to use that word, of cultivating Mother Earth. That is why it says, Dugdhemam oshadhir vipraha tenayam sa ushattamaha. Abundance of material prosperity, abundance of vegetation. Agriculture was revolutionized. We can call revolution of agriculture. We are talking today about revolution of agriculture. The first revolution happened through Bhagavan when he took the avatar of Prithu. In order to increase agricultural produce, it was Prithu who tilled and introduced various practices of cultivation of earth. Therefore, avatara of Prithu is for creating material abundance. The 10th avatara, Bhagavan moves on from creating material abundance to abundance of grace. This 10th avatara is a very, very special avatara. Very little account of this avatara is available in many other texts, but Srimad Bhagavatam captures the glory of this avatara, but in later skandhas that we will see. But here, the 10th avatara is briefly summarized for us. Rupamsa jagrihe matsyam chakshusho shodhadis samplave navi aropya mahimayyam apad vaivaspatam manum. So Matsyavatara in the Shvetavaraha Kalpa is 10th in terms of sequence. And this is not even happening, this does not happen in Swayambhuva Manvantara, it happened just before Vaivasvata Manvantara. 7th Manvantara, the current Manvantara is Vaivasvata Manvantara. The Manvantara before this is at the end of the Chakshusha Manvantara. There was a deluge of cosmic waters, and that is when, in order to protect Satyavrata, Bhagavan took this avatara. Rupamsa jagrihe matsyam. Later on, when we deep dive into each of these avatars, we will also see the significance of each and every form that Bhagavan takes. Bhagavan does not assume forms arbitrarily. There is a specific reason as to why he takes certain forms. The forms are appropriate to the times. Now here, Matsya, the avatara that is taken in order to protect Satyavrata. Rupam sa jagrihe matsyam chakshushodati samplave. When there was inundation of cosmic waters all over, Satyavrata had to be protected, and Satyavrata is the next Manu. He is going to be the Vaivashvata Manu. The Manu, every Manvantara is ruled by a Manu. And therefore, Satyavrata had to be transported into the next Manvantara. So Bhagavan takes the form of Matsya. Matsyam Chakshushodati Samplave. Navi Aropya Mahimayam, placing him and several other selected living species, they are magically transported into the next Manvantara. Apad Vaivasvatam. It is the purpose, the mission is to protect Satyavrata. The beauty of Matsya Avatara is Matsya, a fish, incidentally has no eyelids. And therefore, it is a fish, just by looking at it, it nourishes its children just by looking at them. Bhagavan, that is why this is an avatara, abundance of grace. Since there are no eyelids to the fish, his grace keeps streaming down wherever he looks. That is why this is an avatara where not only he gives jnana to Satyavrata, while transporting Satyavrata, Bhagavan is also teaching Satyavrata, teaching him all the Vedas. And at the same time, his grace, there is no interruption to the streaming of his grace. No wonder Bhishmacharya calls his avatara Guruhu Gurutamaha. He not only calls him Guru, he calls him Gurutamaha, highest of Gurus. Why? Not only he gives jnana, abundance of jnana and abundance of grace, uninterrupted grace. And that is why this avatara is celebrated as one of the glorious avatars, Matsya Avatara, the 10th avatara that is captured here. Surasurana mudadhim matnatam mandarachalam tadre kamatharupena prishta ekadashe vibhuhu. In all his avatars, Bhagavan repeatedly keeps demonstrating one thing. Whether we acknowledge, recognize, become aware or not, he keeps demonstrating one important fact, that he is Sarvadhara. Adharatva, his Kalyana Guna of Adharatva is repeatedly demonstrated. And this is one avatara where Bhagavan as the Sarvadhara can be easily recognized. Surasuranam udadhim matnatam mandarachalam dadre kamatharupena prishta ekadashe vibhuhu. The Ekadasha, the 11th avatara, is the glorious Kurma avatara, where Bhagavan's shell, the Kurma, it takes the form of a Kurma, of a tortoise, and the shell serves as the pivot for the Mandara mountain. Interestingly, Astikas and Nastikas come together. Rarely it happens, but Astikas and Nastikas, the Suras and Asuras, Devas and Danavas come together for one purpose: chasing nectar of life. Chasing the nectar of life, they come together, beautifully orchestrated by Bhagavan. And Bhagavan makes Mount Manthara as the churning rod, and he supports Manthara. Therefore, Bhagavan, it looks like, started practicing to be a Giridhari right then and there, because eventually he knows he has to become a Govardhana Giridhari. Therefore, before becoming a Govardhana Giridhari, he practices. Therefore, he becomes a Mandana Giridhari. And becoming a Mandana Giridhari, taking the avatara of Kurma, he orchestrates the Kshirasagara Mathana. And both the Nastikas and Astikas are chasing this nectar of life. And then Bhagavan eventually helps the Astikas and deludes the Nastikas. Therefore, the next two avatars, the 12th and 13th avatars, are avatars which are related to the Kshirasagara Mathana. So far, we have seen avatars different facets of his avatars where Bhagavan has done several leelas to ensure our spiritual and mental health. Now we will see Bhagavan's avatars where the mission of this avatar is to ensure our physical health. Dhanvantaram dvadashamam trayodashamam yevacha apayayat surananyan mohinya mohayan striyah. The 12th and 13th avatars, during the Kshirabdhi Matana, Bhagavan also emerges as Dhanvantri, the avatara for bestowing the Shastra on medicine. Dhanvantri is the avatara where he ensures, he gives us a Shastra that takes care of our physical well-being. And that is the 12th avatara. The 13th avatara is the avatara of Mohini, Mohinya avatara, in order to delude the Nastikas and ensure that the nectar of life, Amrita, is given only to the Astikas. Bhagavan takes the avatar of Mohini. So therefore, the 12th and 13th avatars related to the Kshirabdhi Matana are the avatars of Dhanvantri and Mohini. The 14th avatara is a very, very special avatara, a Purna avatara, an avatara which is special for all of us for one reason, because this is an avatara where Bhagavan demonstrates that he is Bhakta Vatsala. Narasimha Vapu Shriman Keshavaha Purushottamaha Chaturdasham Narasimham Vibrat Daityendra Murchitam Tadara Karajairura Erakam Kata Kridyatha. Narasimha Avatara, where Bhagavan takes a glorious form, a form that can never be imagined. Narasimha Vapu Shriman Keshavaha Purushottamaha. Narasimha took the form of a man-lion and tore apart Hiranyakashipu, like how with his nails, just like how a carpenter pierces through a crane, a bamboo cane, effortlessly tore apart. At the same time, this is an avatara which is avatara taken at the call of a bhakta. Therefore, Bhagavan demonstrates that he is a Bhakta Vatsala. He is there, available when a Bhakta needs him, whenever, wherever, in whatever form. A glorious avatara, which is the 14th, the Narasimha avatara. Panchadasham Vamanakam Kritvagat Adbharam Balehe Padatrayam Yachamanaha Pratyadishtu Tripishtapam. This is an avatara which is very, very special in the sense it's possibly the most celebrated avatars in the Vedas. Vamana avatara. Widely celebrated for the majesty and the glory of this avatara. One moment he is a Vamana, other moment is a Trivikrama. This is an avatara where Bhagavan demonstrates utmost humility as a Yachaka. Simply asking for 3 steps of a land, he regains the 3 lokas on behalf of Indra and re-establishes dharma. And at the same time also blesses Bali Chakravarti. Panchadasham Vamanakam Kritvagat Adbharam Balehe. He teaches a lesson to Bali. At the same time, he also ends up showing why he is Purushottama. No, incidentally, this is the 15th avatara the Bhagavatam captures. The 15th chapter of Gita also happens to be Purushottama Yoga. So therefore, the 15th avatara is the avatara of the Purushottama, and the 15th chapter of the Gita also sings the glory of Uttama Purushastvanyaha Paramatme Tudakhratayo Lokatrayamavishya Vibhatti Avyaya Ishvaraha. That very shloka is demonstrated as Vamana avatara. Uttama Purusha. He is the Uttama Purusha, and that is the 15th avatara, the Vamana avatara. When the protectors degenerate into predators, Bhagavan then becomes the terminator of those predators. This is a very different facet of Bhagavan as one who engages in terminating the predators. Avatare shodasame pashyan brahmo druho nrupan trisapta kritva kupita nikshatram akaraun mahim. The Parashurama Avatara as the son of Jamadagni and Renuka. 21 generations of Kshatriyas were eliminated by Bhagavan. When the Kshatriyas, who were meant to be protectors of Dharma, they become predators, then Bhagavan had to engage in ensuring the cleansing of the society. So Parashurama Avatara is the 16th Avatara. Tata saptadashe jataha Satyavatyam Parasharat Chakre Vedataro Shakha Drishtva Pumsho Alpamedasaha Vyasaya Vishnurupaya Vyasarupaya Vishnave Namo Vai Brahmanidaye Vasishtaya Namo Namaha. The 17th Avatara is the Avatara of Vedavyasa. Drishtva Pumsho Alpamedasaha. Recognizing all the people who are going to come in Kali Yuga are Alpameda, with limited intellect. Vedavyasa, out of compassion it seems, took the whole body of Vedas and classified them into 4. Possibly he did not know that even that is not enough, because the people in the Kali Yuga are not just Alpamedas. They are beyond what even Vyasa could have imagined. Even that classification was not enough. He even went to the extent of writing commentary on the Upanishads in the form of sutras, the Brahma Sutras. And finding that not enough, he wrote Mahabharata, the Panchamo Veda. And finding that not enough, finally he also bestowed the Bhagavata Purana, which is what we are currently relishing. The Saptama Avatar, the 17th Avatara of Vedavyasa, as son of the illustrious Parashara. And then the 18th Dharma is, the 18th Avatara is the Avatara as Dharma personified. Ramaha Dharmo Vigrahavan Naradevataamapannaha Surakarya Chikishaya Samudra Nigrahadini Chakre Viryani Atapparam. Rama Viryani. Somehow Rama is very gentle. And at least the Rama that we all know of through TV serials is somebody who doesn't even smile. Very serious, very soft, very gentle. But somehow the Shastras glorify him as Viryavan. We think he is very gentle, but he is Viryavan, because why? He constantly, continuously demonstrates what courage actually means, how to face adversities of life. Constantly proving that destiny is bigger than the biggest adversity. Dharmo Vigrahavan, the very epitome, the very embodiment of Dharma. Naradevatvam Apannaha Surakarya Chikirshaya. Surakarya. In order to protect the interests, take care of the interests of the Suras, the Astikas, the Devas. Samudra Nigrahadini. He brought the Samudra all around Lanka under control and eliminated Ravana. Chakre Viryani Atapparam. Such is the glory of this Avatara, which is celebrated as the 18th Avatara, the Rama Avatara. Ekona Vimshe Vimshati me Vrishnishu Prapya Janmani Ramakrishna iti bhuvaha Bhagavan Aharhadbharam. The 19th and 20th are the glorious avatars of Balarama and Krishna. Balarama and Krishna. In the earlier, before, he took the avatara as Rama, as the elder brother, and Adisesha as the younger brother. Rama, Ramanuja. Now in Dwapara, Ramanuja becomes the elder brother. Rama becomes the elder brother. Ramanuja, Krishna, becomes the younger brother. Balarama is an Amsha of Adisesha, an Amsha of Narayana as well. That is why here in the avatars of Narayana, this is an Amsha avatara. As I said, there are Purna avatara. Krishna is a Purna avatara. Balarama is an Amsha avatara of Narayana. Ekona Vimshe Vimshatime. The 19th and the 20th avatars, Bhagavan decides to descend in the Vrishni Vamsa as Rama and Krishna, as Balarama and Krishna, for one reason. Bhagavan Aharahat Baram, in order to take care of the burden, in order to remove the burden that is being forced upon Mother Earth. Obviously, Krishna Avatara is the very core of Srimad Bhagavatam. The truth, the beauty of truth and the truth of beauty. Krishna Avatara is all about the beauty of truth and the truth of beauty. The beauty of truth is Krishna. And reality, the ultimate awareness, ultimate realization is the beauty of truth. It is the beauty of Krishna. Whether we realize it or not, true realization is realizing beauty of Krishna. This is the crowning reality of existence. This is what we ultimately seek. And what is the truth of beauty? The truth of beauty is, when we look around this beautiful world, everything which is beautiful is nothing but a small fragment of the infinite beauty of Krishna. So that is the reason why Krishna Avatara is a beautiful avatara, which demonstrates to us the truth of beauty and the beauty of truth. And of course, the Dashamaskanda is devoted to this glorious avatara. And then, prediction on the future avatars. Tatah kalau sampravritte sammohaya suradvisham buddho namna anjanasutaha kikateshu bhavishyati. This is the bhavishya as it happened. This was before, towards the end of Dwapara, and therefore what is going to happen in Kali Yuga, the beginning of Kali Yuga, avatara of Buddha. But we need to be very clear, this is not the Buddha that we know of, the popular Buddha. The Gautama Buddha is son of Maya Devi. He is Shakya Muni. His birth happened in Lumbini in Nepal Desha. This Buddha avatara, this avatara happened in Gaya, Bodh Gaya. This is popularly referred to as, and as a son of Anjana. So therefore this is not the same. This is the first Buddha avatara. The Lord Bhagavan appears as Buddha in order to arrest the decline of the practice of the Karmakanda by preaching non-ahimsa and by ensuring that all the contaminations that happened in the practice of the Vaidika karma are all cleansed. Tatakkalu sampravritte sammohaya swaradvisham. In order to also delude those who are haters of astikas. While the Nastika was growing, Bhagavan had to delude all the Nastikas, and therefore the mission of this avatara is also to delude all the Nastikas. This is the Buddha avatara, but Buddha, the son of Anjana, not Maya Devi. This is the 21st avatara. And then the 22nd avatara, the avatara towards the fag end of Kali Yuga. Atasau Yuga Sandhyayam dasyu prayeshu rajasu janita Vishnu yashaso namna Kalkir Jagatpatihi. The avatara of, the glorious avatara of Kalki, which is predicted to happen towards the end of Kali Yuga. Many are very curious. Will Kali Yuga happen anytime soon? Will Kalki Avatara happen anytime soon? Kali Yuga has started and only approximately 5,500 years plus have elapsed out of 430,000 years. And I don't think we need to stay to witness this avatara. We are all here as mumukshus, not wanting any more birth. So therefore, let us not worry about Kalki avatara. Instead of witnessing Kalki avatara, we might as well reach Vaikuntha and relish Vaikunthanatha. So therefore, Kalki avatara is projected to happen towards the end of Kali Yuga, when dharma completely deteriorates, and in order for the next cycle of Chaturyuga to start, Bhagavan takes the avatara of Kalki. Now we have seen 22 avataras. Now we also need to understand that these 22 avataras happened over a time span, cutting across yugas, cutting across manvantaras. We have seen some avataras captured when they happened during Swayambhuva Manvantara, some avataras during Chakshusha Manvantara, and some avataras during Vaivashvata Manvantara. And therefore, these avataras, as they are captured, and what Suta is going to do is, as he goes further recounting the details of these avatars, each and every avatara we will deep dive and understand in detail the purpose of this avatara, the mission that Bhagavan fulfills, and also various other details, and also the historic details around each of these avatars will also be covered in detail as we go into the other skandhas throughout Bhagavatam. Until then, let us contemplate on the glorious declaration of Krishna in the Gita. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatpataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Constantly contemplating on the glorious avatars, the avatar, his descent, and all his leelas. The janma and karma here have to be understood not as birth and actions, as his descent and his leelas. Because his janma, he is ajaha, he is unborn. Therefore, his janma is out of a sankalpa. And when he takes forms, these forms are transcendental, shuddha sattvamaya. They are not subject to the forces of prakriti. Therefore, his janma is descent, his karma again is leela. He is the lawgiver and he is beyond and above the laws of karma. And when we contemplate and when we are in awe of Bhagavan's janma and karma, Bhagavan's descent, his avatars and his leelas, we are assured that moksha is guaranteed. Let us continue to contemplate on these glorious avatars of Bhagavan, and we will continue our journey with all the rishis of Naimisharanya and with Suta, who has been patiently, he has been teaching them, recounting them what he learned from his guru Shuka Brahma. Sarvam Sri Krishnarpanamastu.